So this is something that's been bothering me for a long time, and in social movements there are always a lot of people who get really caught up in the movement and have great ideas but execute them in the wrong ways. I see this a lot with men when they enter the feminist movement. Now, men joining the feminist movement is great, don't get me wrong, but it's also incredibly important for these men to understand how even though they may want to be part of the movement, they can be continuing to perpetuate problematic ideas through their language and actions. The most common case of this I see is when men talk about violence against women, specifically sexual violence. The dialogue I often hear coming from one man to another speaking out against sexual violence is, but what if that happened to your sister? Now, there are all sorts of variations of this conversation about mothers, daughters, friends, cousins, etc., but it always comes down to one common theme. This conversation is always about how the violence is continuing against women in their relationship to men. For the sake of simplicity, I'll just call this the your sister argument. I've heard the your sister argument so many times before, and while men have really great intentions in discouraging violence against women, the language they're using to discuss it is actually perpetuating sexism. By talking about gendered violence to another man, only referring to the woman as could be your sister, they only value the damage if it happens to a woman as referred to by the possessive your. This is a problem because the violence is only being discussed when it's in relation to some man, specifically the one in the conversation, not because it's happening to just a woman or any person out in the world. The problem that's not being reflected in these possessive sentences is the fact that the violence itself is a problem, not only who it's happening to. This language, although it may seem like a minute issue, holds a lot of power. Language is the main way ideas and systems are perpetuated. By referring to someone as only your sister, you're only seeing them as a relationship and not as a human being. The reason you should be against violence to women isn't because it could happen to your sister, but because it is happening to many human beings. Although I am a sister and a daughter, I'm more importantly a singular human being. I am my own self, I am me, I am my own physical person, I am my own consciousness, and most importantly, I am a human being. Throughout history, the greatest weapon that systems of oppression have used is dehumanization. This tactic of dehumanizing people is how wars, rape, murder, and other forms of violence continue, as it's much easier to harm someone if you don't think of them as being another human being. As you can see, in referring to women only as a relationship and not as an individual human, you start to see the connection between the dehumanization and how the patriarchy is continued. Just like all other human beings, I was born with the right to my own body and what happens to it. It shouldn't be a radical statement to say a woman shouldn't be raped or assaulted because she's a person, not because she might also be your sister. I'm a person, not a relationship. I'm a human being, and as a human being, I have the right to not be raped, I have the right to not be assaulted, and I have the right to not be murdered. Gendered violence isn't an issue of how I relate to you. It's an issue that violence is being carried out against people. When you refer to me as only your sister, you're only referring to the violence happening to someone in relation to you and not all people. I have a right to not be violated because I'm a person, not because of any relationship I hold outside of that person. So the conversation regarding gendered violence really needs to change. If you truly want women to be equal and to end gendered violence, here's one step you can take to maybe helping achieve that goal. Through your language, you need to show that women exist independently. Change the "you wouldn't want that to happen to your sister" conversation to "we can't let that happen to another person" conversation. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, comment, etc. You know the deal. Thumbs up, like. I really love hearing your feedback. So if you have any opinions, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Thanks, bye.